Welcome everybody to Busybird Publishing. I'm Les. I am the project manager here. Busybird Publishing is the love child of Kev Howlett, who's behind the camera there, and his wife Blaze Van Heck. The regulars here will know the story that we've faced this year, where Blaze tragically lost her life in mid-March, suddenly and unexpectedly. So Kev has decided to try and continue Busybird in her honour and to live up to her legacy. So since March there's been no open mic nights like this, one's open to the public. We've had a couple. One was a memorial for Blaze, another one was launching her book The Colours of Ash, which is just there on your right. For newbies it's $29.95. And this bookcase here is dedicated to Blaze's work. Blaze is a big champion of people getting their story out there. She was a writing mentor and she believed that everyone had something to say. It was just about finding your voice. So tonight's a little bit quieter for an open mic night, but it's understandable given that we haven't been doing anything for about 6 months and the circumstances and cold, and there's apparently a pandemic and stuff like that, which is a little bit annoying. Rita's going to get about 5 minutes. Shell at the back there has a bell that she'll ding at about 4 minutes 30, just to let you know your time's approaching. And at 5 minutes she'll do that. You don't have to... I used to run the bell and I was nervous of that. Savage. You don't have to stop mid-word, mid-sentence. You can finish the paragraph. If you have like 19 pages left, don't decide that's what you need to finish. Busybird's always been about family, becoming this creative community in the heart of Montmorency. And we have some regulars here who've been coming for, Robin, Gay, how long have you two been coming?
75 years.
He's not lying. You've been coming since mid-20 teens. Same with Richard there at the back. Rosemary, you're probably just a little bit later. And it's testament to sort of the community that we've fostered, that people who come here keep coming back because they feel the love in the room and they understand that here everybody has a love of storytelling. Anyway, that's enough of my preamble. To begin the night, I'd like to call up Richard Trember and Shell to perform... How do you pronounce that, Richard?
Imogen.
Sorry?
Imogen.
Imogen. And Cesar? Cecilia. Sorry. Yep. So everybody give them a round of applause.
Do you need chairs or anything?
This is just going to be something different from what we usually do at open mic nights. I don't think we've ever had a double act, have we? Anyway, this is, it's called Imogen and Cesare, a battle of poetic incantation, and it's from a book that I've got at home, which and I've always just liked this piece, and I haven't written anything just lately, so I thought, well, if I haven't done anything myself, I'm going to have to pinch something from somewhere else. But anyway, I'll just read this as it goes. Imogen and Cesare is based on the Song of Imogen, which is claimed to be the oldest poem in the history of Ireland, dating back to at least 1200 BC, or maybe as long ago as 5000 BC. Imogen and Cesare depicts an exchange of self-exalting verses proclaimed by the two demigods, Imogen and Cesare. Cesare, an early inhabitant of Ireland, uses her verses to churn the sea and fend off the seafaring invader Imogen, who in turn calms the sea with his verses. Ultimately, Imogen emerges victorious. Imogen and Cesare. I plant my foot on this land, for I am Imogen, son of Mill, son of the people of the sea, peoples of ships and barks, prince of the white cave, son of the builder of the spiral castle, fetus of the womb of the earth, son of the hag of Bera, builder of the tower of Bragon, climber through the needle's eye, namer of names, judge between combatants.
Here I stand, daughter of the moon, Cessair, poet of Arian Rod, daughter of Danae, the mother and queen, keeper of the house of Sid, daughter of the north-west wind, I am Cessair. Navigator on water, mistress on shore, fair as a flower, daughter of darkness, daughter of the house of Arian Rod.
Who foretells the ages of the moon? Who brings the cattle from the sea and segregates them? For whom but me will the fish on the laughing ocean make welcome? Who but I know the secret of the unhewn dolmens? Who shapes weapons from hill to hill? Who but myself knows where the sun shall set?
I am the flash of sun and water. I am the clash of battle swords. I am the teeth in the sea shark's mouth. I am the blood of wild beasts. I am the fire in the witch's hearth. I am the evening sky ablaze, the red of serpents' tongues, the black of deepest night. I am a mare who knows no reins.
I am the roar of the sea. I am a bull of 7 fights. I am a hawk on a cliff. I rove the hills, a ravening boar. I am lightning that blasts the trees. I am the point of weapons. I am thunder on the mountains. I am a god that fashions fire for a head. I am a dragon that eats the sky.
I thread the stars across the sky. I am the kiss of lovers' lips. I am the mortar and the stone. I am the song of my homeland.
I am the wind on the sea.
I am the bow of every ship.
I am ocean waves.
I am the foam upon the sea.
I am a lake upon a plain.
I am the green of the fairest hill.
I am a dewdrop, a tear of the sun.
I am a lily on a still pond.
I am the son of harmony.
I am a word of skill.
I am the silence of things secret.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Shell. I was just getting into the rhythm of that. Interesting thing tonight, despite we have a smaller audience, like half of the audience are actually new to Open Mic Night. So thanks for coming. We're still going to try and do this throughout the year, so please keep coming back and please keep spreading the word. Next, I'd like to bring up Wendy Scott with some poetry, The Barefoot Traveler. Let me guess, this is about a traveller who's barefoot. This is why I'm an editor.
I'm a bit shorter. Okay. This is for my Barefoot Traveler. There are pathways made of granite, jagged and unyielding, that wear most travellers' feet down to the bone. Undaunted, indeed challenged by these rigid, ragged obstacles, our brave barefoot traveller soldiers on regardless. For the job must be completed and the battle must be won. Unwavering dedication rips her soul to shreds, drives her body beyond its limits. Commitment overpowers safety. Stop, she cannot stop it. Once started, she must not stop it. Ancestors rule her destiny, strong women rule her roost. Hardened by their journeys, feet bloodied along the route. Barefoot travellers all and sundry, each bear scars dried tight with time. Their stories etched into her soul, wills unbridled, run rampant in her mind. Work hard, then work harder. Ignore pain and fear. Steel your gentle heart, show no one your tears. Our road has no soft surface, our feet no fancy shoes. We are bold, barefoot travellers, only granite pathways, dear, pay your dues. Our barefoot traveller equates pain with effort, but her body has its limits, needs rest despite her will. Then she curses this human weakness, bandages her battered body, stands up on bloodied feet, and flanked by her band of barefoot ancestors, sets forth to conquer yet another granite pathway. No surrender, no defeat. Surrender is defeat. Her stubborn jaw jutting out in defiance, she hits the road once more, never alone on her journey, whether she overcomes or falls. Our brave barefoot traveller, the last of her line, sets off to defeat the ultimate adversary, one last granite mountain to climb.
Thanks, Linda. It's an enduring poem of resiliency. Sorry, I'm just going to push this back up. Have you read before? Have you read? No, you haven't. You did a really great job. Next, I would like to invite one of my favourites. Should I say that? Gay. She's looking at me like, am I one of his favourites? Or is he going to make some sort of joke? Like I make stupid jokes. Yeah. Wait, I'm going to go lower.
Yeah, lower.
Yes. Sad, isn't it?
And I was actually just talking to John about you earlier, because we were talking about poetry, and I said, there's a woman, Gay, who comes in here, so...
Who's 3 foot tall.
I said 3.5, but don't let me down, no pressure.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. A change of class in this now. This is called Email to My Bow. Dear Bow, it would appear that you haven't the faintest idea of what you're supposed to be doing here. I haven't heard from you since last May. Just exactly what do you do all day? I refer you to job description 52B, which states you are to remove all waste from me. Coloxal with Senna, the Fibre Department too, have all sent letters of encouragement to you. Please, dear Bal, report by close of day, or management will have something unpleasant to say. I'm going to do not another Bal. Yes. I should have had this ready, but I kept trying to get it ready, and my husband kept saying, "Stop doing that. What are you doing that while everybody's doing?" I'm trying to find the thing. Who's digging me right there? That's it.
I'm trying to get my glass of water.
I have an early morning procedure. A vital procedure for me. I fix my face with lipstick and powder, so what you see is an improved me. It takes me forever, it's such a formidable task. For a detailed procedure, you just don't ask. It involves spack filler and lots of varnish, with constant polishing so it doesn't tarnish. But there is one task that's essential for me. I have to draw on my left eyebrow. You see, in the process of age, half the eyebrow has gone. Just disappeared. It's ridiculous. It looks all wrong. And I have a tremor caused by Parkinson's disease. My hands shake and wave like trees in the breeze. So to draw on an eyebrow is a funny sight. It looks as though both hands are going in for a fight. A magnifying mirror rocking left and right, and the other hand shaking, holding the pencil tight. Although it's hilarious and at times a bit of fun, how ridiculous to lose an eyebrow. I wonder where it's gone. Thank you.
Thanks, Gay. That was great. Gay, how old were you when you started poetry, or how long ago did you start? Because you came to poetry late.
Yes, I did come to poetry pretty late. How old was I? 8. I must have been probably in 60, 50, 60. And I'm only 40. Something like that. I have no idea. I'm absolutely helpless.
And did you always want to write, or was it just something that came upon you?
It's something that just came upon me. I'd been at uni and I just loved study and I loved all of that sort of stuff, but I wanted to do something different. And
So you married Robin.
that was very different.
What a difference that made.
So yeah, I'm not sure how long it is, but it was late in life. Yeah.
But you found your voice almost immediately, or if not immediately. So, I mean, it shows, you know, we all have stuff to express and to tell and to share. And it's just about finding the voice to do so. So, thank you, Gay. And, you know, Gay, you always have self-deprecation in your poetry. And I think that's a lot of its charm. It's just you're not afraid to be yourself and show your vulnerability, but also find humour in it. Next, I'd like to call someone else who actually has, should I say, an acerbic wit. See, one guy's looked up and he just happens to be married to her. Rosemary. And she's going to read an essay called Cafe Conversations.
Not fair that you put me off to Gay. How can I top you? Okay. This is from a Facebook post that I wrote several years ago. I've just fleshed it out a little bit. Things I actually heard in the cafe. Here we go. I'm sitting in a cafe on a quick work break. It's only half full, a handful of pensioners in a corner. In front of me, a table full of women who are lunching prior to the school pickup, and a couple behind me clearly on their first date. Wafts of conversation float around me, something about a movie that's just been released, an upcoming holiday in Bright, how you make a perfect meringue. I blank them out as I sit daydreaming into my coffee when my ears catch something said at the table diagonally behind me, the couple table. Clearly, it's a Tinder first date. And clearly it's not going to go well, as he's just announced that he's actually married. But it's all right, as I'm sort of separated, he hastily adds. It happens in my country, it happens in your country, he concludes. I'm imagining his shoulders shrugging. This is life, right? A profound and long silence follows. I accidentally, on purpose, drop my napkin behind me, so I have to reach back to pick it up and thus face in the right direction to check out the speaker. He looks Latino and good-looking too, a deadly combination, like Antonio Banderas, oh my. The silence lengthens. He clumsily falls into plan B. Tell me about your son, he asks. Ooh, so she's a mum. Divorced? Widowed? Latina and good-looking and married and okay with all this? Another napkin drop. I discreetly sneak a peek. She's Chinese and appears glad to regain control, for she spends the next 5 minutes animatedly talking about her toddler's sleeping habits. Her mum's babysitting right now, isn't she great? Latino lover boy punctuates his prologue with interested comments to prove he's really a nice hombre. Stilted conversation then ensues. Great weather, did you hear about? Insert sporting celebrity's latest scandal. Coffee's not bad here, would you like dessert? Damage control attempts in full throttle. She's not buying it, says she's not really hungry, needs to go. Okay, he concedes and magnanimously offers to pay the bill. They walk out of the cafe just ahead of me. He offers her a lift. She bluntly says, no thanks, I want to walk. He saunters to his car, trying hard to show he's cool, while she heads in the opposite direction, head down, heels clicking fast on the pavement. I want to follow her to ask if she'd like to contribute to the book I've suddenly decided to write. The Internet Men Not in My Life. Subtitle, These Are Their Stories. Ka-chung.
So that are true observations?
Yeah.
Because I don't remember seeing you in that cafe, because obviously you referred to a hot Latino who looked like Antonio Banderas. That was me, right? And somehow I don't recall that happening. Next, I'd like to call up someone who's new to Busy Bird Open Mic Night, Rico, who's going to read a poem called How Great.
Hello everyone, it's nice to be here in great poems and stories. Mine isn't so funny. I'm going to bring the mood down just a tad. It's actually a song, but so this is my first time speaking it, so anyway. A satisfied sigh takes the wind out of your clench, while a satisfied thirst can drown 1,000 in its quench. And here we are, the eagles flying, with bones still to pick, us and them. The magpie man and his tidings shimmer in their silver linings. The camouflage man and his lounge, cold-blooded, move around. How great is your cause, how true is your word. While abandoned care flows steady into crystal glasses at oval tables, can we learn, could we be ready to be the eyes for those who no longer see? The cheater and his coalition discuss their selfish ambition. The follower and his flock find the edge and jump right off. How great is your cause, how true is your word. Thank you.
So it's the first time you've also read?
Yes.
You did a great job. Well done. And one thing like we always tell people when they show up is, because there's a lot of people who's really nervous about reading for the first time. It's I know it's a smaller, more intimate crowd tonight, but it's always a very supportive, nurturing place, Busy Bird. So it's about having fun and getting your stuff out there and getting your work out there and seeing how it resonates with an audience. So, you're looking a little bit nervous, John. Okay, good. Don't think I'm going to call you just because I said, you're looking a little bit nervous. So anyway, next, I'd like to bring up John. So I just lied. Right, poetry, My Grandmother's Pie.
Hi. So this is very much my first time reading poetry to people outside of my house. And we've got a small enough crowd that I've introduced myself to about half of the group and sort of told my story before I started. But I would like to read a couple of these silly poems that I've written for my children. And inspired by one of the guests in the room, this first one's called Rover. My parents make me do my chores before I go to play, to wash the bathroom, mop the floors. It takes me half the day. But recently I learned a trick, and now those days are over. My parents have their chore list, sure, but I have our dog Rover. Last week while I was drinking milk, I slipped and spilled the cup. Then in came Rover, licked his lips and lapped the whole lot up. The milk was gone in half a flash. He looked it up wanting more, but I was busy staring at the shining, polished floor. It may well have occurred to you, it surely did to me, that maybe Rover's appetite could truly set me free. So now I always do my chores when Mum and Dad are out. I set old Rover to the task and I can just hang out. The way it works is anything the list says I must clean, I spray a little milk just there and Rover makes it gleam. First he does the mopping up and leaves the floors all shining. Then next he cleans the bathroom tiles while I enjoy reclining. The spotless pure white toilet bowl is something to behold, and Rover cleans the cat box without even being told. And while I'm on the couch with cake or something else delicious, old Rover ticks the last job off by cleaning all the dishes. Hopefully I've got time for another. This next one's called Nedge. I don't know what this is about, but while wandering along a beach next to the water's edge, one early morn after a storm, I met my best friend Nedge. I almost didn't see him there, obscured by sand and weed. I couldn't tell you what he was, what species or what breed. His arms and legs, if once he had them, weren't there anymore. And Fish or birds had feasted on him on his way to shore, but right away I knew that Nedge was guaranteed to be the type of friend who'd always have the time to play with me. I picked him up to take him home, or most of him at least. A bit more Nedge fell off his side and made a seagull feast. Mum said there was no way Nedge was riding in the car. I argued, hey, he smells okay and we're not driving far. I worried Nedge might be upset to meet with such disdain, but lovable, resilient Nedge is not one to complain. So in the end, he made the journey in a plastic bag, flapping from the roof rack like a decomposing flag. Then back at home, old Nedge and I played games of tag and freeze, then made a cardboard battleship and sailed the open seas. We soon became the best of friends and shared our hopes and dreams. I love how Nedge is patient, kind, and joins in all my schemes. I love the way he looks at me with one decaying eye and how he never tries to leave or ever say goodbye. Most of all, I love that when I'm lonely late at night, I bring old Nedge into my bed and hug him good and tight. And I have one last one that I'd like to share, inspired by my children in the school holidays. It's called Bored. I'm bored, shouted Charlie. Me too, followed Finn. The holiday doldrums had clearly set in. A week since school finished, another to go. Who would have thought that days off would feel slow? Their parents were patiently trying to coax the pair to reopen their best book of jokes or put on a puppet show, go fly a kite. But the moping went on through the day and the night. They'd seen all the movies on every device, completed their video games sometimes twice. They'd ridden their bikes and they'd bounced all their balls. They'd run out of fun and were climbing the walls. They couldn't find anything inside or out that would help them in breaking the merriment drought. Instead, they just grumbled and grunted and griped about all their options, all greatly disliked. The 300th protest pushed Dad too far. That's it, he yelled. Both of you get in the car. The two children shrugged and complied with the order while Dad grabbed some canned food and bottles of water. They shot from the driveway and tore down the road, then on for an hour till he finally slowed. Do you kids like hiking? He said with a smirk. They shook, their heads shook, but Dad said, too bad, get to work. I'm leaving you here on the edge of this wood. The walk and the fresh air will do you some good. You've both got 2 legs. Here's some water and food. I'll see you back home in a less stroppy mood. He tossed them the stores in an old army pack, then drove out of sight without once looking back. The children both stared in incredulous shock. Then Charlie unclipped the old pack to take stock. Some beans and fresh water, a compass and map, a small folding spade with a pick on the back. This prompted the question, why would they dig holes? The answer came next when they found toilet rolls. With shrugs of concession, the two started hiking and soon realised it was not to their liking. No tablet, no telly, no board games at all, no bike and no scooter, no bat and no ball. Out here they were tiring and still no less bored. What's worse, something moved in the woods and then roared. Charlie looked back and caught sight of the bear, and screaming, they sprinted off, gasping for air. All thoughts of their boredom were dead on arrival when faced with the crisis that threatened survival. On through the woodlands at neck-breaking speed, the two children tried to establish a lead, but every time one of them glanced to the rear, their grisly pursuer was frighteningly near. For hours they struggled for life and for limb, aware of the plight growing ever more grim. Through sheer power of will, the two somehow pushed on until both were quite certain that all hope had gone. The trees here were thicker, the foliage was dense. They pushed through some branches and into a fence. The tall timber palings which stopped them in place, one way or another, were ending the chase. Scrambling over and falling quite hard, they found themselves sat in their neighbour's backyard. I'm almost done, I promise. They ran to their home, to their mother's embraces, their horrid ordeal plain to see on their faces. Their father came in from the kitchen with mugs, hot chocolate and marshmallow, then some more hugs. They retold their story from drop-off to door, swearing they'd never complain anymore. There were worse things than hunting for something to do. There are things in that forest that want to hunt you. Exhausted, the children were ushered away to rest and recover from such a big day. And when both the kids were asleep in their beds, their dad put his bear suit away in the shed.
Thanks, John. That's great. I'm sure there's a lot of parents who empathise with that third poem. I'll tell, no one's eating. Sorry, Rico, you're drinking. Just hold off on that for a second. When you read the first poem, Rover, I recall several years ago, my desk was there in the corner and Kev is in the far corner. And you know this story where it's going? Yeah. And Oscar was down here and I just heard him doing that doggy choking sound they make when they're about to vomit. And he vomited. And I said to Kev, Oscar's vomited, and Kev just said, give it a minute, and then just woof woof. And he ate it back up. And it's like when we have functions or anything, you just let Oscar loose and he cleans up. Well, he cleans up the crumbs. He doesn't put the chairs away though. Robin, you have a vignette observation, it's called.
In my work, I was lucky to travel around the world to various places, and this one's in Santa Monica, and I always like to observe things in some of these areas, so here we go.
Hang on a second. Wait.
You were tall, weren't you? Yes. As I stand on the cliff top at Santa Monica, taking in the sweep of the ocean, I notice directly below me a line of double-storied, stuccoed houses in washed-out shades of greys, stone and sand, wedged tightly between the cliff, the road and the sea. Who lives in these seemingly isolated, soulless places? Do they spend their days gazing out to sea in the hope that behind them the weight of the cliff, of the rest of America, bearing down on them will not push their homes like children's building blocks tumbling into the Pacific Ocean? Have the peoples of America done enough to halt his slowly sweeping hand from sending all into the sea? Will the carousel on the pier, the skittering squirrels in MacArthur Park behind me, the priest handing out dollar notes to the homeless, eventually succumb to this final push? Will Richard Harris's MacArthur Park really melt in the dark? I continue my walk along the Santa Monica cliff top on this beautiful autumn day.
Thanks, Robin. Sorry, I should have been a little bit organised before this, but it's the first time for quite a while, and I'm not usually the host. I just noticed, like, a few of the readers tonight have books out. So Gay actually has 2 collections, Secret Smile and Just Walk With Me. And they're full of the sort of poetry that you heard earlier. I'm going to call Richard Trembar back up to read a poem, I believe you're going to do. Richard's also got 2 books out, which I was looking for on the wall, but I had to rush back. The first one's In the Company of Strangers. They can bring them both up if you want to show them both. So what are you reading now? Poetry?
I haven't really decided what I think I'm going to read.
Okay.
If we should ever meet again, which is a poem.
Yep, so Richard.
Thank you. Pardon me not being ready. Anyway. This is called If We Should Ever Meet Again. Do you ever wonder what would happen if we should ever meet again? Would it be like the first time or the last? They both seem so long ago, and yet it is the first time I recall, when we were in the springtime of our lives. The days seemed longer then, the road seemed straight and true, and yet life overtook us with its twists and turns, and undergrowth along the verges of the road, more dense each mile, until it blocked our long shared view of life's true common goal. You went your way and I went mine, yet looking back I don't recall the reason. What went wrong, if anything? Perhaps it was just time. Time for both of us to scan life's landscape as it lay outstretched before us. We drifted, and our lives took different paths to different destinations. Oh, sorry, there's more over here. But what if, once again, our paths should cross? If we had time to pause, reflect, and to exchange the stories of our lives. Would we change anything, or simply look upon those early days with fondness born of love and wonder why? I'll just do one more quick one. Cheryl's my friend, so she won't ring the bell. In your boot. This is called, oh, it wasn't supposed to be that one. This is not really the way it's supposed to be, but anyway. Jigsaw. How testing is the task we face to make the pieces fit as we approach life's jigsaw, our own picture, bit by bit. If we are blessed with fortune and we quickly find a blend of matching colours close at hand that make each tile a friend, they slowly start the picture, and with confidence it grows. The more we build, the easier to see where each piece goes. But sometimes at life's table, there's a piece that's out of reach. We know full well we need it for our lives to be complete. We know precisely where it fits. The colours tell us so. But if it's unattainable, we have to let it go. And sadly, it's too often so in life's imperfect mile. We can't complete the picture for the lack of one small tile. Thanks, Pete. On sale here now.
They are on sale. That actually segues into my next point. So thanks, Richard. Richard, I reckon I could give you my laundry list, and the way you read would make it compelling to listen to. You read with such heartfelt emotion and gravitas. I'm going to go a little bit deep here. So we've got one reader left, which is Shell. Hang on, don't get up quite yet. No, not yet. So Richard, when you published you got the 2 books? 3. But there was one...
2 here and 1...
Don't mention that one. But the 2 that you've done here were... Like, I think the first one... Yeah, I think it was about 7 years ago. 7 years ago, about?
First one was 2016.
Yes, it was about 6 years.
The other one was 2021, I think.
Yeah, and you're a gentleman who's a little bit vintage, so that's when you're in your 40s. Yeah. And Gay, you also did your 2 recently. When I say recently, like in the last 10 years. I think 2014 was the first one. And then you did the other one a couple of years later. And this is Blaze's novel. Blaze began this novel conceptually in about 2000, 2001, because she talks about 9/11 being part of the inspiration for it. And she went back to school in 2006 to study writing and editing, and she also worked on the novel, but she fell in love with the publishing component too. And she gave me a draft to read in 2014, and I gave her feedback because I'm an editor and I don't know, people sometimes listen to me. And she gave me another version in 2020 to read, and I gave her some feedback. And this January, she messaged me on Facebook, and she just said, I've been reading my novel. I'm thinking, what's the point of working some 20 years if I'm not going to get it out there? I'm going to publish it this year. And she asked me some suggestions about the cover. And the cover was painted by her son, Jack. It's very artistic. The painting is just here behind me. So Jack's extremely talented. And she planned to bring it out this year, but she passed away in mid-March. And when we came in here to try and work out the project management and the workload, we found in her calendar that she'd tentatively written May 15th as the launch for this book. Yeah, and that's a date she would never see. Sorry. So I just want to say, Blaze worked on this for 20 years and physically wasn't on this plane when we launched the book in June 15th. We have such limited time on this planet, we don't know when it's going to end. it could be any moment. I was hit by a car 12 years ago. That could have been the end of me. We all have health scares and all that. We don't know if we're going to live till 90. Blaze's mum is very active in her 70s. Her dad's still very active. You would have looked at Blaze and said she'll live till 100, especially with her outlook on life. But that was taken away from her. So, just to everyone in this room, live your life. If you've got a story to tell, go ahead and tell it. We're not going to get a second chance at this, and someday we're going to draw that last breath. We're going to look back at our lives and think, what didn't we do that we wanted to do? So to everyone, if you've got something you want to write down, don't let people stop you. Don't let naysayers go, where's this going to get you? Don't let, obviously don't give up all the practical things you need in life, like work to pay bills and stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend you lock the kids in the closet so you can work. It did no harm to Harry Potter vote, but Blaze is a big believer we all had a story to tell. And there's a lot of everyone in this room is a creative person, and everyone has a voice, and everyone's shared something tonight, and everyone has something they want to share to a community and connect to, so they can feel that they've been heard and that they've shared something that might have been meaningful to something else, to somebody else. And we never know how we're going to touch people. We don't know what that stranger hears who will go, that actually means something so meaningful to me in this moment, in this time, that speaks to me right now. We never know. It might be something heartwarming, it might be something poignant, it might be something funny. It might be at that time they just needed to hear that funny thing that just picked up their spirits. It might have been something you would have thought, is this going to have a meaningful impact on my life, But I'm listening to Rosemary and think just those random conversations you hear sometimes and the way they immerse you in the moment and go, everybody's got stuff going on in life. And some of it's absurd, some of it's silly, some of it's quite deep. But everybody's got stuff going on, and we connect through community and sharing. And as Blaze used to say, storytelling's been going on since we were painting pictures on caves. And now we paint different pictures, they're called words, and they're in a book. So if you've got something to say, go for it right now. So having said all that, sorry about that spiel and my little mini breakdowns, last reader for the night's another big part of the Busy Bird family, Shell. Shell is going to share with us. She took a meaningful, cathartic break from life and is going to share an excerpt called Boots. Shell.
About a month ago, I was invited by some friends to go on an epic journey to the Kimberleys, the Bungle Bungles, to camp, virgin camper, didn't know what I was in for. Very, very small piece about trying to get out of my tent in the morning. The first bird called around 5 a.m. when the light was still dim. Too early for me, I hit snooze on her call and waited for the sky to brighten. As a first-time camper, I was unprepared for the bending and stretching required to move in and out of tents. I learned that the best way to leave my plastic worm was in breech position. I shuffled my bum closer to the door, poked my feet out the fly, and dropped my knees into the sand, then stuck my head out. A section between my shoulder blades ached quietly as I hunched through the opening and straightened up. Instantly, my back, hips and thighs quietened, relieved to be in a position that didn't require curling, crouching or squatting. After just 4 days of camping, I learned that it was best to leave my hiking boots just outside the door of the tent to avoid the pungent odour of sock bacteria marinated with sweat from permeating my 1 by 1 metre sanctuary. However, the risk of leaving my boots outside the tent was that any number of multi-legged creatures, or worse, a leg-free creature, had cozied up inside the dark crevices overnight. During childhood, Dad had instructed me to always tap the heel of my shoes on the ground to dislodge critters. The practice had paid off only once, but it saved me from a nasty sting. An earwig had tumbled out with its pincher snapping. Here in the Bungle Bungles, I spotted an unexpected insect while on the hunt for a bush toileting spot. As I widened my stance and descended into a squat, something heavy-set with shiny brown armour had scampered out from under the spinifex. Geez, a cockroach! Of all the unexotic creatures, I thought. I'd been under the mistaken notion that cockroaches were primarily suburbanites that preferred the underbelly of kitchen sinks than the great outdoors. Okay, maybe a garden shed, but surely not the pristine sands under the native grasses of the bungle-bungles. I was wrong. Harmless as they were, I was not keen on crunching one with only a socked foot, so I picked up a boot and with long laces dangling, cracked the heel down hard on the ground. A sheaf of Himalayan salt-coloured sand cascaded from the toe cavity and into the heel. I turned the boot upside down and let the captive sand merge into the river sand around the tent. I tapped the heel down hard a second time to dislodge anything with scales, tails, or pinchers. More sand. I tapped again. More sand. Tap, tap. Sand. I stopped. I was camped on the side of a riverbed. There was always going to be more sand.
Thanks, Shell. And speaking of the writing books, guess who's writing one? How'd you know? Yes, Shell is writing. Sorry, Shell. You didn't want to spoil that? Did you want to keep that secret?
No.
Okay. Now it's out there, you have to do it.
I have to do it, I'm committed.
And I want everyone in this room to hold her accountable. Her address is, I'll text you later. Does anyone have any announcements or anything they want people to know about? Anyone got gigs or performances or new books coming out or anything like that?
The poem I wrote, that's a song.
Yep.
It's coming out.
It's coming out as a song?
Yeah, so
Where can we find it?
Where can, yep.
Spotify?
yes, it'll be on all the, I don't even do social media, but it'll be on all of it.
And it'll be called How Great?
How Great Is Your Cause is what it's actually called.
Yep.
Yeah.
And under your name of Rico, under your moniker of Rico?
Under my band, so yeah, I wrote the song and then my guitarist put music to it. Yeah.
So what's your band's name?
Rico Caval.
Rico Caval.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, look for that one. Has everyone got a raffle ticket? So when you came in, you would have paid the $15. If you didn't, just give the $10 to me later. But everyone should have a raffle ticket. So we have a door prize. And the door prize is this Busybird book bundle, which is page 17, which is one of our anthologies of fiction, non-fiction, and poetry. Live Your Truth, which is an anthology of people who discovered what truth meant to them in terms of meaning in their life. The Love of Jimmy Panagiotis, which is a novella which won our Great Novella competition in 2015, I believe. I can't believe it's that long ago. Self-Made, which is an anthology of business people who've made their way in life in business and share their secrets. And what is this one called? All You Need Is Words. All You Need Is Words. Yes, that's Blazer's sense of humour, and that's just a journal that you can write in. Now, traditionally, people who sit next to Richard win this. John's looking at him like, yes, that's why I picked him. And it's 00. Now if I pick it out, it's going to look so rigged. It's going to look so rigged. Okay. That one. Forgot one or two? No, I've got two there. 011. Robin. Here you go, Robin.
On behalf of my wife and I
So thank you for joining us for our first open mic night since February. Our next one will be 17th of August. Obviously, we have to put a bit of work into regenerating some, talk about that this is back on and get crowds in back again and all that sort of stuff. Usually we have about 30 people or so. Like I said, we have a great community, but I want to thank everyone who braved a cold Melbourne night. I think it's going to be like 0 degrees tonight. So, you know, thank you for coming out here and, you know, joining us on our journey back to, you know, honouring Blazer's legacy and making Busy Bird great. So thank you. So you can hang around for a bit, enjoy some refreshments, chatter, talk shop, talk words. Yep. Gage said to me, I'm going to fight John for that title now. We're doing the same sort of poetry. She didn't say that, really, John said that.
I think she's got me.